And a lot of crypto bulls still confident in the long-term prospects for cryptocurrencies as well. Among them, Cathie Wood, who predicted $1 million price for Bitcoin by 2030. Let's bring in Jean-Marie Mognetti. He is CoinShare CEO. It's Europe's largest digital asset manager. Jean-Marie, thank you for being here. So what are you hearing from clients right now as we've had this recent volatility in Bitcoin? I imagine people who have been in the space for a while are accustomed to this sort of bouncing around. But even so, even for them, the drop has been perhaps alarming. What have you been hearing?
Well, first, thank you for having me. We've been in this space since 2013, 2012, and I can tell you that even if you're there since this time, it's still painful and you're not getting used to it. You tend to forget that this thing can happen. So it's always a good reminder. So our clients are, as we are, getting accustomed to it and getting used to it. The real differentiation is which wave of client is being impacted these days. And, you get a lot of new entry in 2021, and these clients were the one which were not really used to this cycle, but the beauty of CoinShare product is we have clients which are very much with us for the long run. We have clients which are with us since 2015, 2016, and which are experienced this cycle. And, they are almost the one educating the community to make them understand how the journey is going.
I was surprised this morning to see Cathie Wood come out here and call for Bitcoin reaching $1 million by 2030. Does a call like that make sense to you, just given where we have seen crypto prices go the past few months?
Well, crypto price over the last few months, along with growth stock, as bears the grunt of the market bleeding. I think Nasdaq has probably erased all 2021 gain. Bitcoin and crypto in general are down 50% from the all-time high market cap. So we're definitely in this kind of weird situation where people have been suffering a lot so far in 2022. And we see some sign of recovering on the back of some Fed announcement on the back of FOMC minutes, which are not going to be as drastic as people were thinking last week. So the kind of uncertainty we are in, where we know the Fed is going to announce something, but we don't really know what. People were talking 50 basis points last week. It's going to more looks like 25 basis points. We don't really know until we have more certainty and more direction from Jay Powell about, the gradual proposition about tapering. Tapering is a big word nobody used for many, many years, and probably some of us never heard. So it's a process, and I think the market is trying to figure out how it's going to handle this process in the months and years to come. So to come back to your earlier question about Cathie valuation, I think she put analysts put a very strong penetration rate case behind it to show where it's going to penetrate and how it's going to penetrate the market. And everybody can go with his own call. I know Milton came on this show earlier last year to call 100 grand. It's a very numbers are very relative depending on what they are. So we're not going to comment further, I guess.
So let me ask you a more modest question then. Can cryptocurrencies, and let's just pick Bitcoin for ease of talking about it, can Bitcoin rally this year in the face of Fed tightening?
The question is not so much about Fed tightening, is how much the Fed is going to be able to tighten. And that's going to be the message we are looking for from everybody. Bitcoin has been sold out, and cryptocurrencies in general on the face of the uncertainty coming in and the rates going up. It's going to be interesting to see how it reacts in a bit of a more medium-term perspective, but I think
we are long-term in our focus. Keep your eye on the prize. And I do think in the short term, what has happened here, one of the things that's happened is reminiscent of the beginning of 2017, when China shut down all of its exchanges and the Bitcoin's price collapsed. And anyone who bought on that enjoyed one of the most magnificent runs during 2017, because what we learned is, fine, China shuts down its exchanges and the activity moves to Japan, Korea, Thailand. almost seamlessly. And when people looked around and said, okay, nothing happened there, this just shifted. And we think the same will be true of mining, by the way, and therefore mining will be more transparent than it is in China right now. I think ESG is the second reason that it has gone down. Environmental, social governance, primarily environmental. How is Bitcoin mined? A lot of institutions are asking that question, and ESG has become a very important strategy, especially in Europe, increasingly in the United States. And this was one more risk that it was going to keep institutions from migrating into this new asset class. This is a new asset class. And from 10, 11 years worth of data, we can see the low correlation of returns compared to other assets. Institutional investors have to consider this because certainly their competitors are, as another form of diversification and opportunity. And I think this put that off for a moment. But I think that the spotlight on the environment is going to cause something really interesting to happen here. We just wrote a paper with Square about the ramifications of putting Bitcoin mining into a solar power wall merchant power ecosystem so that it could absorb all the extra energy coming from the sun after the battery, the power pack is filled up. That would add a new dimension of economics to this ecosystem and would encourage homeowners and utilities to add more solar to their own ecosystems than otherwise would be the case. So it's actually going to accelerate the movement into renewables. I think that's what's going to bring institutions back. And I think Elon Musk highlighting, is this a risk that I have considered adequately as I put Bitcoin on my balance sheet, my firm's balance sheet? I think he's going to be a part of the solution. So we think what has happened here is actually going to turn into good news. Absolutely. I was keeping very close contact with my friends in the DeFi space, particularly venture funds deeply involved in it, and monitoring. And it seemed to go pretty flawlessly. Of course, there are some bankruptcies out there, and businesses that are not going to exist. But this is the natural clearing process. If you want to take on that leverage, that's the kind of risk you're taking, and just know that. So I think each one of these corrections, certainly the coronavirus was a battle test, and now this one is a battle test. I think each one brings with it improvements in governance, but also proves out, as Anthony says, how robust this decentralized ecosystem is.